Hi everyone, it's Carolyn from True Crime Chat with Mommy Ramblings. I am really sorry for the delay in the rest of the hearing updates, but I think I overexerted myself when I was biking, and I had some really bad issues where, gosh, I thought I was going to end up in the hospital. But anyway, okay, I'm back. So this is going to continue. The part one, which I'll link in the video description, carried us up to lunch, and this carries us from after lunch through the end of the day. It's going to resume tomorrow. We'll, of course, be bringing you that. And let's see what's going on here. If you're brand new to the channel, I encourage you to click on the subscribe button in the lower corner of the video and become part of the greatest community on YouTube. We're going to go over this live tonight, and we are going to listen to the actual phone call during the live tonight that is referenced in here, okay? So I hope you can join us then. But let's look at what happened today. Okay, so right after lunch, Rob Wood said he had no further questions for Detective Ray Hermosillo. And then Rexburg Police Detective Ron Ball was called to the witness stand. Ball's been in law enforcement for over 28 years, and he's a lieutenant over the investigations. He said he was at Chad Daybell's home when the remains of the two bodies were found, JJ and Tylee. He went to the Ada County and was there for the autopsies. He is testifying that he accompanied the remains to the state lab in Boise with other officers. When they arrived in Boise, the remains and the packaging was in the exact same condition as when it left Rexburg. Then the judge had to have a meeting with both attorneys in his chambers. He said something about the plexiglass that's installed. They have to speak loud and it's not as private. So he wanted to have this little sidebar off in his chambers, and that's what they did. So they took a little break. Okay, with the sidebar over, the hearing resumes, and Prosecutor Wood is admitting several exhibits into the record. The judge is not allowing media to show the exhibits, photos, etc. that are being referenced. Witnesses can describe them, but they cannot be shown by the media. When Prosecutor Wood was done questioning Lieutenant Ball, then John Pryor, Chad's attorney, asked some questions about where the evidence swabs were obtained, who transported evidence, where and when the evidence was transported. John Pryor said he has no further questions, and Ball was released from the witness stand, and then the judge called for it to be sanitized before they called the next witness, who was Rexburg Police Detective David Stubbs. He's been a detective since 2000. He's worked with the Rexburg Police for 25 years, and he has training in technology and internet crimes against children. He became involved in the case when the Rexburg Police Department was asked to locate a vehicle that police in Arizona were interested in, and Stubbs admitted that he has met Lori and Chad. Stubbs said that when he first met Lori Vallow, it was November 26, 2019, and he was performing a welfare check on JJ Vallow. Detective Stubbs was wearing a body camera, and it recorded his interaction with Lori. He met with Lori twice the same day to inquire about her son. The body camera footage is admitted into court and was about to be played. The judge said the media is not allowed to show the video, so court went into recess so they can get the video ready to play. In the video, we can hear what's going on. Lori says JJ's in Arizona with her friend Melanie Gibb. She says Melanie's son has autism. Lori then says, "What is all this?" And Lieutenant Ball says police are concerned about officers earlier had a bad vibe. Lori says one of her brothers is trying to kill her, so she has to move around a lot. Lori says JJ went to school for 2 months but has a really hard time. Lori says the person who called the police, Kay, has been fighting her since Charles Vallow died. She goes on, I've heard about the insurance, and sister got $1 million, and, she didn't get it, and she could have used that. for JJ and blah, 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 blah. They had another, let me see, hold on 1 second. I'm sorry, I lost my place here on my notes. Okay, and then Detective Stubbs was describing the video as he and his partner approached Lori Vallow's home. And we hear someone say, "Her car is out there, it's a blue Subaru." And then we hear a knock on the door. Lori answers the door and Lieutenant Ball asks if she has a minute. Lori responds that her brother is there, and Ball introduces himself and Detective Stubbs. The police leave, and Stubbs says officers returned a short time later when Melanie could not be contacted. Lori says she's sorry, but people are constantly knocking at her door and she doesn't want to be found. She says her brother from Kansas is trying to kill her, and he showed up at her Rexburg home. Lori says she's moving back to Arizona to live with her friend Melanie. She also says she canceled her insurance policy and has no money. Police tell Lori they are concerned for JJ, and Lori says she feels like she's being tracked all the time. Lieutenant Ball says 2 detectives came earlier and were talking with you guys. Lori says it was her brother, Alex Cox, and Alex's friend, Chad Daybell. Now, from Stubbs' body camera, Lori said she's a good person and everyone is causing her trouble right now. Lori says Kay got $1 million when Charles died, and Lori didn't get anything. Lori says her daughter goes to BYUI, and Lori is going to go back to Arizona so JJ can go to a school that's better for his behavioral issues. Body camera footage from the second visit to Lori's home was then played. Lieutenant Ball knocks on Lori's door, and Lori says that Melanie is at Frozen 2 with her kids. Police ask Lori to call Melanie to tell her to call them back. Lori agrees to do so and laughs that she doesn't know if she could live in Rexburg a whole year because of the cold weather. Detective Stubbs now is being asked about his experience tracking cell phones and using cell phone data. Prosecutor Wood asked Stubbs if he ever met Alex Cox. He says he does not know Alex, but knows he's related to Lori. He also said he is aware Alex is dead. Stubbs said he was interested in Alex's Google data because police knew he lived in an apartment close to Lori's. Okay, they lived, in that same unit there. He also believed Alex may have information about where the children could be, so he said a search warrant was issued on Alex's devices, and Google responded with the results. Okay, so Prosecutor Wood now asked Detective Stubbs about the Google data that was obtained in their search warrant on Alex Cox's account, and Detective Stubbs said that Cox's email address was homerjmaximus@gmail.com. That information is from his account. Detective Stubbs said detectives obtained thousands and thousands of pages from Google from Alex Cox's account, and that just the location data, if it was printed out, would be over 28,000 pages. Detective Stubbs said he took dates and times of interest, and using GPS points and time and date stamps, he placed pins on a map to show where Alex Cox was going. Detective Stubbs spoke about an overhead image that showed Chad Daybell's property. The map had different markings signifying things on the property, and he spoke about that. And then he spoke about an overhead GIS map image of the townhome complex where Lori and Alex lived in Rexburg. The images were from September 9th, September 14th, and September 6th, and they were admitted into evidence. Judge asked for a recess, kept saying the courtroom is too hot, we have to cool it down. I don't understand. Do they have air conditioning? What's going on? And so that's where we are at this point. Okay, they come back at around 2:50 p.m. Detective Stubbs remains a witness, but he's going to be moving from the stand and go to the easel. Judge said he should be wearing gloves and a mask, and he starts to describe an aerial photograph taken over Lori's Vallow's apartment complex with markings that represent different reference points regarding the case. Detective Stubbs is talking about time and date stamps on Google from Google-related to Alex Cox's account. Now, Prosecutor Wood asked Stubbs to describe the timestamps from when Alex Cox's phone was at different locations on particular dates. The device was at Lori's townhome, and then it was located on Chad Daybell's property. And Detective Stubbs said there are additional data points in the area tied to Alex's account, but he did not map them out because the files were so massive, and I can't even imagine how long it would take to map them all out. And then the Prosecutor Wood says he is done with the questions, and it's John Pryor's chance now to cross-examine the witness, Detective Stubbs. John Pryor asked Detective Stubbs if it's department policy to always wear a body camera. Detective Stubbs says it is not required, but because he was issued a camera, he always turns it on when he's out. And he did indeed record the 2 encounters with Lori Vallow. Detective Stubbs said he's working with the FBI to get more specific data on Alex Cox's phone. John Pryor asked Detective Stubbs if he has any body camera footage of him talking with Chad Daybell, and if Stubbs has any video that has been provided to the Prosecutor Wood. John Pryor has no further questions, and Stubbs is excused from the witness stand at that point, and that is 3:10 p.m. Now, Wynn Hill, W-Y-N-N Hill, is called to the stand. Spencer Ramel, the Madison County Deputy Prosecutor, is asking Hill questions. Hill works at BYU, Idaho, and is the Dean of Students. Hill says the university has a management system that contains information on every student. And Hill says he checked the system for Tylee Ryan, Tylee Cox, Tylee Vallow, with the date of birth 9/24/02 on February 28, 2020, and there were not any records. There were no further questions from either the prosecution or the defense, and the state called to the witness stand Melanie Gibb. Court took a brief recess, and Melanie Gibb will take the stand after the recess. So this was really getting interesting at this time. Okay, so now after the recess, we have Melanie Gibb up on the stand, and she is first asked by Prosecutor Wood, when did she meet Chad Daybell? And Melanie answers it was 3 or 4 years ago. It was in Morgan, Utah. And the nature of their relationship was talking about some of the books that Chad has written, and then his relationship with Lori. How did she meet Lori? She met Lori in Mesa, Arizona at church. They became friends. Next, the questioning turns to when Melanie arrived in Rexburg on September 19th. She says she arrived on September 19th, 2019, and she left Monday, September 23rd at 9:30 a.m. in the morning. She was in town because she had to attend a conference, and she wanted to see Lori. And she ended up staying at Lori's townhouse, and besides the 10 hours she was at a conference, she was with Lori the entire time she was there. Melanie says that she saw Chad 2 to 4 times during that weekend and would say that they were affectionate to each other. They held hands, they hugged, and they light kissed. Prosecutor Wood asked Melanie to recall what happened the night of September 22nd, and Melanie says that they recorded a podcast, and it was Lori and Melanie and Melanie's boyfriend David Warwick, and their podcast they recorded was between 9 and midnight. Melanie remembers seeing Alex Cox carrying JJ into the house, and JJ was asleep. During her stay, Melanie says that Lori spoke about having JJ go stay with his grandmother, Kay Woodcock, and Lori said that she would have to tell her that she was sick so that Kay would take JJ. And later on, she said that Lori told her that she met up with Kay in the airport, and she told Kay that she had breast cancer and that she needed to take JJ. Melanie said she only met Kay Woodcock one time. That was when Charles Vallow was moving to Texas, and Kay happened to be there. Now, within an hour or two of Chad's call to Melanie, Lori called her, and Lori told Melanie everything was fine. She was upbeat and cheery, acting like nothing was wrong. Lori said the police had been to her home, and Lori had told them that the kids were with Melanie. And Lori asked Melanie to go take some random pictures of kids and tell the police that Lori would come and pick up the kids later that week. Melanie said in the late morning of November 26th, she got a call from Chad Daybell's cell phone. Chad said, "Hi, Melanie, this is Chad. The Rexburg police are going to call you. Don't pick up." Melanie said Chad told her the police were at Lori's house and they were inquiring about where JJ was. Chad said Lori was going to tell police that JJ was with Melanie. Melanie responded, "I thought JJ was at Kay's house." Chad said no, he wasn't. Melanie said she asked Chad if he was nervous, and he said yes. Melanie said Lori told her Kay was trying to kidnap JJ. Melanie asked her how she knew, and Lori said, well, she had received emails from Kay that said, "It's not like I'm going to kidnap them." Lori said she was trying to protect JJ from Kay and possible other family members. Melanie said on the phone call from Chad, he sounded very nervous. Melanie said she felt horrible and in shock after getting the phone calls from Chad and Lori. She had a really bad feeling in her stomach and she was really shaken up by it. Melanie said the Rexburg police tried calling her and she received a text from them. She said she didn't respond to the police because Chad told her not to answer it, and Lori said her child was in danger. So she was very confused. But Melanie did talk to Gilbert police officer Ryan Pillar the day after he called her. She told Pillar that she had been with JJ, but he was back with Lori. Melanie admits she lied to the Gilbert Police Department when she said JJ had been with her. She said she wanted the investigators to turn their focus back to Lori. She was confused and she wasn't sure what was going on. On December 7th and 8th, Melanie said she called Officer Pillar and gave him more details about what happened with JJ, Tylee, and Chad. She also let Officer Pillar know that she had recorded a conversation with Chad and Lori about where JJ was and why she lied to the police. Melanie expressed her concern for Chad and Lori's salvation and told them they had been deceived. Melanie recorded the phone call, and she did this by putting her phone on speaker and recording the call with her boyfriend's phone. She said law enforcement did not ask her to record any calls. This was something she did on her own. Now, this recording was made on December 8th from David Warwick's home. And like I said, I will put the link to that phone call in the video description and we will listen to it tonight. The phone call ended abruptly after Lori mentions standing with Jesus Christ. Melanie says she's concerned about Lori, and Lori says, "You don't sound concerned, you sound pissed off." And Lori sounds really smug on this call, and she does those things like, deflecting or trying to make the person, I'm just remembering off the top of my head right now, but you sound not agitated, you sound this or you sound that, that kind of speech that someone does when she just sounds so calculating and contrived, but we will listen to it tonight and you can listen to it with the link. So, "You sound pissed off." Melanie responds that she is troubled by Chad and Lori's behavior and the fact that they were together before Tammy died. Lori says her salvation is not in trouble and she should check with the Lord. Lori says, "I'm sorry you feel that way, sweetheart. I'm sorry you're friends with all those who are against me." And Melanie says she's not. Lori says that she could say where JJ is, but that it would not be good for JJ. Lori says that she would never ask Melanie to not protect her children. Lori says she loves Melanie, and Melanie says because she does care, she is sharing what she feels, and Lori's salvation is in trouble. Melanie tells Lori she has wrested the scriptures and that Lori has opened dark portals and dark junk. Melanie says she was reading the story of Korihor about another Book of Mormon reference, and compares Korihor to Lori and Chad. Melanie says she was not listening to her gut feeling and she felt uncomfortable about many things. Lori says Melanie will be accountable for the knowledge she does have, and Melanie says, so will you. Melanie said, you can understand my concern, can't you? Lori says she can feel Dave's influence on you, and Chad says, David is putting doubts in your mind. Chad said Melanie needed to have faith that this is not some master plan, and he said that there was no way he and Lori could have ever come up with it. Chad said his sister-in-law is coming up with theories about Tammy's death. He says Tammy was sick and he begged her to go to the doctor. Chad said he's been told for years that Tammy would pass away at a young age and that his life would have 2 segments. Lori then went on to say that Christ is coming soon, and Melanie said she does not have fear and has a peaceful conscience. Lori said, you know me. You know me. This does not sound like you. It sounds like you have been influenced by somebody dark who wants you to believe dark things. Melanie said Lori has been deceived. Tammy died and Charles died and JJ is missing. Melanie said in her gut it feels weird. She has never had 100% peace about all of this. Lori says she did exactly what the Lord instructed her to do. Lori said she would never do anything to harm Melanie, and she can have all of this confirmed to her by the Lord. Lori says she has done nothing wrong. Melanie said a friend would not have asked her to lie to the police. Melanie asks if she can share a scripture with Lori, and Lori says yes. Then asks about Alma, a Book of Mormon prophet, and King Noah, an evil leader from the Book of Mormon. Melanie says she's worried for Chad and Lori because JJ is missing, and Lori says, I know exactly where he is. He's perfectly fine and safe. Lori says the police are working with Kay in some dark capacity, and there is no reason for them to be after her. Lori says Kay has threatened her lots of times. Melanie asks follow-up questions about the threats, and Lori says, oh, there's a lot of things. Sounds like YouTube. Lori says she will do whatever the Lord needs her to do every day, and Melanie asks if she will ever see Lori again. Lori says, absolutely you will. Melanie says she hopes JJ is okay, and she tells Lori that she asked Alex about where JJ was, and Alex responded that Melanie did not want to know where JJ is and that he could not be found. Lori says she doesn't know why Alex would say that. Lori said she didn't even want Alex to know where he was. Melanie asked Lori if JJ is safe, and Lori says he is safe and happy. Melanie asks why Lori told the police that JJ was with her, meaning Melanie. Lori said, well, most of her family is working against her with Kay. Lori said she wants to keep JJ protected and everyone else protected. Melanie asks if she needs to be in danger of knowing where JJ is. Lori says it's a danger of people being after her. Chad says if Melanie knew where JJ was, it would put her in a bad position. Melanie asked Lori about what happened to JJ going to be with Kay, and Lori says, well, I had to move him somewhere else because of her actions. Melanie asked where Chad and Lori are. They don't answer, and they say they are near Idaho. And then Chad says, they took a brief recess. They had to keep through this heat. I don't know. They don't have it. Court got back in session, and then the phone call was played. And again, I will play that for you. Chad starts with, hello, sweet Melanie. And Melanie says, hi, Chad. Hey, Lori. And Chad says, let me put you on speaker. Melanie says, hey, how are you guys? Lori says, we're okay. Okay, so at the end of that, Rob Wood says he has no further questions. It's John Pryor's time to, question Melanie, but Judge Eden says, hey, we only have about 10 minutes left. Can you get your stuff out in 10 minutes? To which, of course, John Pryor says, no, I can't. I would like to resume at 9 in the morning and begin with that. And that was all agreed upon, so that is what will happen. Okay, guys, that's where we are. We will discuss this tonight. We'll play that phone call for you tonight, and you know, we can talk about this. I hope this gave you a recap if you missed a lot of it, and thanks so much for watching. And I'm sorry it's late, but I am still not feeling well. I haven't even eaten. I'm going to try to eat something now, but I will be on live later. Take care, guys.